Erika Kirk just got exposed for using Charlie's death to take over Turning Point USA, and Candice Owens is getting ready to expose her live. Turning Point USA just invited Candice Owens for a public debate this week, and Candice is ready. She has text messages, video footage, and even confession statements, confirming that the people closest to Charlie betrayed him.
The widow of conservative activist Charlie Kirk is taking over the organization her husband helped to establish. Erika Kirk was officially named as CEO of Turning Point USA by the group's board. In a post on social media today, the board said the organization will carry on and not surrender to evil. Charlie Kirk was fatally shot during an open-air event on the campus of Utah Valley University on September 10th. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is charged in his killing. Charlie Kirk co-founded Turning Point USA in 2012. The group is credited with energizing the youth vote in Donald Trump's 2024 presidential election victory.
On September 10th, 2025, during a debating event as part of his American Comeback Tour, Charlie Kirk was shot to death at Utah Valley University in Orem. A crowd of around 3,000 students witnessed his death, and allegedly, the people who had arranged for it to all happen were right there by Charlie's side. At 12:33 p.m., Charlie was shot, and just 33 hours later, the suspect Tyler Robinson was arrested. It was actually after Tyler's arrest that the real issues started to come forward. Tyler's arrest, confession, and even his escape, something didn't feel right. The most shocking part, Charlie actually saw his death coming, and TPUSA knew about it.
I don't think we're getting the truth, and I do believe that because you are not forthcoming about the information that you have, about Charlie texting you guys and saying that he thought he was going to be assassinated that very next day. Okay? The day that he died, Charlie knew that he thinks he was going to be killed tomorrow, and you guys are sitting on that information.
Charlie knew that there was a credible threat against his life, and he told his security team about it. His team, however, did nothing. After his death, Candace began looking at flight records on the day of Charlie's death and found something no one could have expected. Egyptian military contractors landed at Provo Airport the same day Charlie Kirk was killed. A jet registered out of Egypt came online on the tarmac at Provo PVU 21 minutes before Charlie Kirk was shot.
I can now report to you that it is a fact that on 9/4, there were, this was not some dropping by in Utah as they were trying to claim because the plane needed to be serviced. That's what they ran with. They ran with, this could have been a routine servicing. I guess there's just no place from Egypt all the way to Utah that an Egyptian military plane can get a tire changed. This is totally routine, nothing to see here. Well, I'm telling you that for a fact, that plane was carrying military subcontractors. And for a fact, they were dropped off in Provo, okay? And that they did not make it back to Cairo. I showed you the plane left. They left on September 10th. It then laid over in Wilmington, Delaware, and departed back for Cairo on the 11th. I am telling you that when that plane left, okay, those people were mysteriously missing from that plane, okay? What's going on here? What are Egyptian military subcontractors doing in the middle of Provo, Utah on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
The real question isn't why these military contractors were involved, but who they were actually working for. And this is where you start to see that Charlie was living between enemies. Egyptian military contractors landing in Utah the same day as him and leaving just 1 hour later isn't just a coincidence. This same plane has been following Charlie for more than a year and was allegedly tracking Erika.
The person the planes were actually tracking for years was Erika. Not Charlie, but Erika was the one being tracked by these planes. Between 2022 and September of 2025, both of those aircrafts, SU-BTT, the yellow plane, and SU-BND, the blue plane, showed 68 overlaps with Erika's documented locations, okay? 68 overlaps. I have since been able to add now 73 times that this overlapped, okay? And 29 of those instances also happened to include Charlie. Charlie was also present. These are all the instances in which this plane, all 68 instances that this plane crossed with Erika. And I'm also going to say this includes overseas as well. So my instant question becomes, why didn't Turning Point acknowledge that this plane was familiar to them? When I was taking all of these figurative online bullets, someone could have easily said something, right? That's kind of a repeat thing in this investigation. Josh Hammer lies, I get attacked, Turning Point just stays silent. They know he's lying, but they allow the lie to flow. Alex Clark lies, I get attacked, I'm telling the truth. Turning Point knows it, but they kind of allow this like Catholic thing, lie to flow. And the influencers are allowed to lie. Nobody at Turning Point ever just steps to clarify that I'm onto something or I'm telling the truth about something. And when it comes to these Egyptian flights, the math on this is indisputable. There is less than a 0.00000001% probability, okay, under random distribution models that these Egyptian planes coincidentally landed around Erika at these times. Like I said, this plane was not just with her in America, it was also tracking her overseas as well. I flagged this because I was alarmed because I thought it was tracking Charlie. And I'm telling you that this plane, in addition to Charlie and primarily actually, was tracking Erika.
Was Charlie's death planned so Erika could take his place? These questions sound crazy at first, but once you start to take a look at what's been happening after Charlie died, everything starts to line up. First of all, the official narrative surrounding the assassination just doesn't make sense. The story is full of holes, and Joe Rogan has been going after it since day one. You've got a decoy shooter who mysteriously ends up in jail and can't be interviewed. You've got a supposedly modern-looking rifle that authorities claim came from World War I, conveniently with no serial number. And then there's the part where they said he took the rifle apart and put it back together on a rooftop under pressure. Like, come on.
Something that's actually factually inaccurate, right, according to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird going on with this.
I know.
First of all, there was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombing.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place. And then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child porn right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child porn. Why is that? Well, now you can't interview him.
Right, right.
Right, and because when the internet people start going, how are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT and Perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different events and be involved? Like, zero.
This is the guy?
Yeah.
I just like that the pants down part is just insane to me. It's like, why is your
I'm not saying,
I did it.
Listen, I'm not saying this guy is insane. He's clearly insane. Yeah. Or not. Or he's professionally insane.
Right.
They expect us to believe that a guy with no shooting experience could make a shot like this using a gun from World War II. And if that wasn't enough, what's up with every shooter now writing a confession note on their bullets?
Grandfather's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay, why? Wait. Why are you using such an old gun? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, is it possible that an old gun can be that accurate? If you have a gunsmith and they work on it, yeah, it's totally possible. You have a really good gunsmith and he sets. If you're like a nostalgic person, you like driving an old car, you could bring it to a mechanic. They could redo the brakes.
Sure.
So if you got a good gunsmith and he took a look at that and the action was true and the bore is good, yeah, you could conceivably shoot with a gun for hundreds of years, right? Guns don't necessarily go bad.
Right, they don't expire.
Right, and especially because all this stuff, like the trigger and the action and all that different stuff is replaceable, so you can just, like, it's compartmentalized, it's components. That's the other thing. They said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut the up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not going to fit.
Not going to fit in a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof? What? What's that about?
Is that what they pitched, huh?
Yeah. And then he's supposed to get it in that stupid backpack. It's literally, it makes no sense.
And the elevator music was a nice touch, by the way.
Yeah. So this is just a narrative.
Several ex-military snipers have come forward saying that they actually believe that there was a second shooter. The ballistics don't line up, and believe it or not, but a ballistic analysis of Charlie's shooting wasn't even done. They just randomly found a gun in the middle of the woods and decided, yes, this was the weapon. According to Candace, she'd heard from a well-placed source that the FBI was pressuring Utah officials to shut down the Charlie Kirk investigation completely. The push, she said, was aggressive, and the higher-ups wanted the case closed and labeled as a simple lone gunman situation.
This guy is equally sane, and he's saying, hey, look, that appears to me to be an exit wound, and when I go and look at this, and by the way, Kash Patel said on Sunday that the FBI is looking at leads, including the location of the shot and the angle of the bullet, potentially a second shooter. And that's what Kash Patel said on the Sunday news show. So this does not appear, Pat, that it's one crazy person.
Does this say that Kash Patel said there's a second shooter?
Yes, sir.
Rob, can you zoom in a little bit, please? I'm 46. Thank you. Director of FBI committed to ensuring the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination person. The full weight of Americans law enforcement is active following the extended. We are meticulously investigating theories and questioning includes the location where the shot was taken, the possibility of accomplices, text messages, confessions, related conversations, Discord chats, and the angle of the shot and bullet impact, how the weapon was transported, hand gesture observed as potential signals near Charlie. So they're doing all of that. Okay, that's
and
great.
They're saying
some
where
details,
the shot was taken.
Got it. Some details are known today, while others are still being pursued to ensure every possibility is considered. Our primary focus is complete investigation. Information will ensure regarding specific details, such as questions about the plane, regarding the turning off transponder on the assassination side. We can share updates. Okay.
There's also the fact that ever since Erika took over, Turning Point has been going in a completely different direction compared to what Charlie wanted. The people he hated are taking over his company, and the message he fought for his entire life is being erased.
You hope that. You hope that Charlie Kirk's death won't be used by a group we now call bad actors to create a society that was the opposite of the one he worked to build. You hope that. You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if that does happen, there is never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever. And there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes. Not to hurt other people, but to express his views.
The way that Erika just moved on in a matter of days and started telling the audience at Charlie's memorial that J.D. Vance reminded her of Charlie was also pretty weird. Her body language, her tone, the way she carried herself after the assassination, none of it felt natural. Analysts broke down every frame of her speeches and interactions, and the more they looked, the more it all seemed performed, almost rehearsed. The Grieving Widows Act didn't look spontaneous. It looked manufactured, as if she already knew exactly what role she was supposed to play after Charlie was gone.
Erika Kirk is either the epitome of what it means to be a MAGA woman who dumbs herself down and minimizes her success in the name of the man and the movement, or she is a honeypot. Because there's been speculations that Kash Patel is in a honeypot relationship, and that would kind of make sense, right? Like, you want to keep those guys close. You want to keep those guys together. You want to keep those guys controlled, right? If you don't know what a honeypot is, it's normally when a very attractive woman is used to control, manipulate, keep an eye on, guide a man, right? Erika Kirk has a law degree. She has a doctorate. She has 2 bachelor's degrees. She's 5 years older than Charlie. She had a successful basketball career in college. She had a successful pageantry career. And then in 2018, she runs into Charlie Kirk for the first time. And then they're very, very quickly married within, I think it's like 3 years or whatever. First of all, they've only been together for 7. I've keep seeing people say they've been floating around for like 10 years or whatever. They haven't. They've only been together for 7 years. This isn't some godly, long, profound, relationship that a lot of these people, they bring these people in MAGA, the high school sweethearts, whatever. She's either dumbed herself down to fit the narrative of what it means to be a MAGA woman, or she's a honeypot. Who else runs honeypot operations?
There's also the fact that when Erika was confronted about her relationship to J.D. Vance, she started joking about touching him inappropriately.
They went to the weirdest places.
Oh my gosh. You guys, please. So for those of you who know me, I hug.
Yes, you're an intense hugger.
Whoever
awesome.
is like hating on a hug needs a hug themselves. I will give you a free hug anytime you want a hug. My love language is touch, if you will. But seriously, that hug. So I will give you a play-by-play. I'm walking. They just played the emotional video. I'm walking over, he's walking over, I'm starting to cry. He says, he's so proud of you. And I say, God bless you. And I touch the back of his head. Anyone who I've hugged that I have touched the back of your head when I hug you, I always say, God bless you. That's just me. If you want to take that out of context, go right ahead. Again, that to me shows that you need a hug more than anyone else. So if anyone...
They were acting like you touched the back of his
I feel like I wouldn't get as much hate if I did that. But no, seriously, so now when I go and hug people, I'll bring them back in and be like, I obviously didn't give you the right hug. Like, let me touch that.
Charlie was catching on to the people that were planted around him, and he knew that his time was coming. During his last few months, Charlie was slowly becoming more and more critical of Israel and how donors AIPAC was trying to control him. A month before his death, Charlie spoke to Megyn Kelly about being terrified of his Israeli donors and about approaching certain topics, how he was stepping through a minefield trying to satisfy his owners and his audience at the same time. Candice Owens even released text messages from Charlie where Charlie said that he felt like he was being controlled.
But I want to take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candice Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friends' trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people. Don't know where it went from there, apparently, but here we are. So one of the reasons, Blake, that I'm glad to have this now public, it was not mine to share publicly, but one of the criticisms we've received is that we don't care, we're not investigating every lead, we're not looking under every stone, and that somehow we're just sweeping things under the rug. And when I say that we want justice for Charlie more than anybody else, I really mean it. And no stone unturned. I mean, I don't know if you want to chime in on that part alone, but I have more to say.
Yeah, so it has been so frustrating to have people blow up about this.
Yeah.
And I've certainly stated publicly, the reason I haven't weighed in on things is I am an eyewitness to events, and they've said, don't comment on things because anything you say can mess that up. I don't want to mess up any trial for the person who did this.
This is where the story takes a turn for the worse. When the people around Charlie realized that they couldn't control him, they decided to take him out. One day before his death, Charlie sent a message to multiple people in TPUSA saying that he thought he was going to be killed. She says 3 sources confirmed to her that Charlie said in messages, "Someone is coming after me."
One more thing rather explosively. 3 people told me off record. 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, "I think they're going to kill me." Okay? He did not express that to me, so I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people who I think are good will be inspired to come forward with that. Now, again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be killed. Tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to kill?
Charlie knew this day was coming back when he first started TPUSA. Text messages from Charlie Kirk to Candace reveal him prophetically predicting his own death all the way back in 2018. In those texts, he hinted that the people around him, the people he trusted, might one day turn on him, and that if anything ever happened to him, it wouldn't be an accident. She issued a chilling warning to the people she says betrayed Charlie, telling them that they had one chance left to come clean.
And then I felt the need to start going through messages and conversations between me and Charlie. And sure enough, I stumbled upon many messages of him telling me how he would die. And I'm going to show you some of those messages now, a particular set of messages that were written on April 6th, 2018, just a couple of weeks before Kanye tweeted, "I love the way Candice Owens thinks," which is relevant because a lot of things changed after that tweet. And it's relevant because Charlie sensed that something big was about to happen. And I think that is what the something big was. I also want to say, obviously, I am not making up these messages. Okay, Turning Point. Actually, Mikey McCoy has access to all of Charlie Kirk's messages. They can tell you that these ones are real. Here is what he wrote. We were again talking about Kanye. Charlie wrote to me, "You're going to be the Iron Lady of America." He had such a political vision for me. I never wanted that sort of a thing. I see it so freaking clearly. I might be Moses, though. I might not see this whole thing through. LMAO. If that is the case, be my David. I said, "Dude, you haven't even realized your power yet. You're so young," was what I was thinking. He said, "If I tell you the true prophecy that I know in my gut, it's really sad, but I hope it's wrong." Went on to say, "Anyway, I am not sure if I will live to see the end of this revolution. I believe you were the piece that God meant me to meet that will finish the fight. Since the beginning of TPUSA, I knew in my gut that I might get wiped out at any time. I cannot explain it, but I dream about it all the time, like all the time. Anyway, that's depressing combo for another time, LMAO. I said, "That's weird, more of a fear manifestation than an actualization." He said, "I'm not really afraid of it, but I'm just telling you what I know to be true." And he told me that. I don't know why. Charlie knew he was going to die young. And I don't know. I just felt like I needed to share that because it is in part why the moment that Charlie got, I just knew he was betrayed spiritually. In the same way that Charlie knew that he was going to die young, I knew that this was a part of something bigger. And so I wanted to say to you guys, to the people that betrayed Charlie, I would recommend that you come clean, okay? I would recommend that you come clean because Charlie said some other things, and I look at these things now and I think, wow, it's almost prophetic, right? It's almost prophecy, and I can tell you that this is a story that will have a happy ending, a tragedy that will have a happy ending. The world is going to learn the truth about this. They are.
It's not just Charlie who was in danger. Both Candice Owens and Tucker Carlson have received threats simply for questioning the official story. The moment they started digging into the inconsistencies, the pressure came down hard. Candace said on stream that she was explicitly told there was an active threat against her if she kept talking. Tucker's team is also tightening his security after someone tried to intimidate him into dropping the topic entirely.
Candice Owens has been told there is a threat on her life, that she is on a list, her and Tucker Carlson.
Another point that I'd like to follow up with, Andrew Colvett, let's stick with you, is that in the hospital on that day, you told me, you were in the hospital, that you were told that there was a credible threat against me and Tucker Carlson. Specifically, you told me that me and Tucker Carlson were on a list and that you were just telling me as a friend that me and Tucker should lay low. And after you told me that, I ended our phone call and I immediately called Tucker Carlson. And I said, hey, terrified, like obviously crying all day, and telling him that he and I have to lay low because there's a credible threat. And it is now really living inside me that you did not tell me who that threat was from. I assumed the feds told you, but I asked you the question, why wouldn't the feds call me directly if there was a threat against my life? No such call has come in. How is that possible? How could someone have told you that there was a credible threat and that me and Tucker Carlson should lay low, and yet me and Tucker have since not been notified by any federal agency about those credible threats?
Okay, that is really weird. For those who don't know, this person that told Candice Owens there was an active and real threat against her and Tucker Carlson's life was this individual here, Andrew Colvett. Andrew Colvett is Charlie Kirk's executive producer. So in the hospital when Charlie was Andrew Colvett told Candice Owens that there's an active threat against her and Tucker Carlson's life. Candice is looking back in hindsight and saying, wait a minute, who even told you that there was a threat on my life? And if there was a very serious threat on my life, then why hasn't somebody from the FBI contacted me? So she's thinking, okay, my friend Charlie just died and now there's an active threat against me. Now later, Candice ended up making the claim that Charlie began to abandon the pro-Israel movement near the end of his life. Andrew Colvett denied these claims. Then later, Candice showed receipts and released the text messages, which Andrew was a part of, where Charlie did admit and say that he was going to abandon the pro-Israel movement. Charlie also said he was thinking about bringing Candice back, and the people in that group message begged him not to do so. Candice, who has been somebody who has been anti-Israel and she's spoken out against Israel. Then near the end of his life, when Charlie began to share those same sentiments, people who were close to him and people who worked very close to him like Andrew Colvett tried to cover that up and say it wasn't true. Now she's looking back and she's saying, wait a minute, Andrew was the same person that told me there was a threat on my life. Now who exactly would be threatening Candice and why? And why would Andrew be privy to this information? Very weird.
The head of security of TPUSA recently also gave a statement surrounding Charlie's assassination, saying that they did everything they could. At the same time, he also said that he asked the cops about the unprotected roof and left it in their custody. Charlie paid this guy millions of dollars, and the reality of the situation is that Charlie died because of his mistake.
Please pick me. Okay, when you're like in school and you got to hold your hand up because you really want a teacher to see you, I have an answer for what else you could have done. You could have followed up because it's your job and Charlie paid you millions of dollars not to pass the buck. No. Also, you asked the police chief an either or question. And I'm just kind of like trying to understand the basic construct of sentences. He said, got you covered. What does that mean? It was an either or question. Either provide us access or get somebody up there. Got you covered means what? No follow-up? That's it? Millions and millions of dollars on his security annually. And you just said, hey, a student told us that there's a rooftop and it would be good if we could have access to it, or if one of your guys could secure it. Got you covered. That's it. That's what Charlie was paying for? On the basis of that answer, you should all be fired. Just on the basis of that answer, you didn't have it within you to go, let me follow up and make sure that's been secured because that's my job. Let me walk the path and see. The fact that a student told you and you didn't know that, shouldn't you have told the student? You shouldn't you have said to the student, hey, we're looking at a map because it's amazing. It's 2025 and there's this thing called Google Maps. So we're actually looking at a map and we see where Charlie's gonna sit and we're wondering about this roof. Could you let us know how we're supposed to access that? Why is the student and the chief leading the charge and not you when you are paid for executive level security? It is an unacceptable answer. Look, I've worked with Brian, nice guy. That's a ridiculous answer. He should be fired.
Candice Owens is gearing up for a showdown that could expose everything, or completely blow this story open in ways nobody is prepared for. Whether you believe she's uncovering something real or just stirring the pot, her evidence, her statements, and her willingness to go up against the very organization she helped build are raising questions that deserve answers.